Hey everybody, it's Michelle here for another minivan moment. This is something I've been wanting to try, and I'm super excited to have my friend Margarita here. Okay. Margarita's here from Texas, and I'm going to let her introduce herself.
My name is Margarita Coale. I practice law like most of us do. And Michelle was just asking me how long I've been practicing. I got my law license in 1999, and I practiced with a big New York firm for many years.
I didn't know that. That's
I was
so funny.
with Weil Gotschel, and they were, notwithstanding, they were fabulous, and they were all these things. But after the birth of our second child, it just became clear that I couldn't keep up the traveling. And it was a personal decision. I just couldn't keep it up. So now we have 4 kids, and I'm in law firm number 3. Okay. And I am practicing kind of a new area for me. So new area, 6 years. I was originally a restructuring attorney. You knew that, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that because you and I have only talked about intellectual property attorney. Okay, or intellectual property work.
Yeah, so for different reasons, I got a call from somebody who had a question about putting a publishing company into bankruptcy. And from there, this new area of practice came up, and I was point in my career where it made sense to retool. And so now I represent, thankfully, knock on wood, a lot of New York Times bestseller authors.
Yes.
And
the really steamy part is that you represent.
Ooh. I don't know.
Oh, no, you represent a lot of
romance authors. Romance authors.
Yeah.
Some of them are more spicy than others.
Yes.
So that's kind of an interesting thing when I introduce myself to people and say, what do you do? I said, well, I represent romance authors. And they say, what type of romance? I'm like, well, some of it's like 50 Shades of Grey. Some of it is pretty clean. I also do some children's authors, which you referred a couple to me.
Right.
And I also represent gamers, which is like completely random. And Michelle is working with one of them too. So yes, steamy authors, romance, which is a $1.5 billion industry a year.
Incredible.
A lot of my clients sell hundreds of thousands of copies of their book, and languages across the board. So we deal with foreign rights, with media rights, with audio rights, and it's really empowering because a lot of these women, have their own industry.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I've found really, really, really fun of getting the chance to work with you is because you work with so many women clients too.
Yes.
So I've really enjoyed that part.
Well, and I would say probably 90% of my clients are women.
Yeah.
And they're women, some of them single, some of them married, some of them that work from home. And I think a big challenge for them is people not taking them seriously. And they're not taking them seriously. And when you think about, I have clients that are making a significant amount of money because they're selling hundreds of thousands of books. Right. And when people ask them, well, what do you do? Well, I write books. Well, what type of books? And if they say romance, they're like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a legitimate business. And I'm really excited to be part of it because I think I've been really excited about working with Michelle because we deal with a lot of issues. And it's a brand new market out there. It used to be that you could only publish a book through a traditional bookseller. Mm-hmm. And nowadays you can publish a book and create your own, you can indie publish. And,
that has been a much more available market in the past few years, right?
It has been, and it's created a lot of legal issues, right? Mm-hmm. I have a client whose books got translated into another language and somebody registered them under their name. So we're having to go overseas and look for legal counsel. And a lot of what Michelle's and I work together is, when should you register your copyright? Trademark-wise, should be looking at certain things. So there's it's a big opportunity.
Well, I think it's just a really fascinating area of the law that you're in, and that's what I thought would be really fun about, since obviously this is a little bit of a new thing that I'm doing with the group, is just featuring different areas of law. And so I'm super excited that you're here from Texas and that we get to be together, and I'm looking forward to our dinner. And So tell me a little bit about your family, if you would.
Okay, I have 4 kids, married for 25 years.
Wow.
4 kids. Oldest one is a senior in high school. Then I have my only girl is a freshman in high school.
Yeah, so we both have freshman girls.
And then I have a 6th grade boy and a 4th grade boy. And I think one of the things that I kind of laugh about, I don't know if I should laugh or cry, is that every time I go out of town, so I travel some, and I've been traveling more and more. So about once a month I travel, and I'm also married to an attorney, so he completely gets it. He completes, a lot of my clients are overseas, so I am on conference calls in the middle of the night often. Thankfully, there's sometimes no real emergency in, copyright law. There can be. But one of the things is when I travel, and I think you've seen, it's really kind of a logistical military deployment.
Oh, yes. Especially with 4. I mean, I only have the 2, but it's a lot.
And so I have to leave a schedule and envelopes, and then I sit in the middle of meetings and I keep getting texts saying, Mom, where are you this? Mom is like, come on, you guys can do it. So that's kind of my goal for this year, because traveling once a month. Right now we are in Kentucky visiting Michelle, and this is our 2nd year because there's a big signing, and there's 23 best New York Times bestseller authors and J.R. Ward, and most of you might be familiar with her. J.R. Ward is here in Louisville, and she hosts this convention, so it's a huge thing. So I travel, and I'm traveling more and more, and it's becoming, now that they're driving and now that they're starting high school, a lot of things that I hadn't thought about. And that has been an interesting challenge. But one of the biggest things to me is I love working with other female attorneys that know of all the challenges of trying to have a pretty robust law practice at the same time trying to balance being a mom and a wife.
Yes.
And so Michelle and I sometimes talk while we're doing carpool.
Yes, I've started calling it my commute calls. For calls that they're really important to me, but sometimes that I know that maybe they're just calls that that need to get done, that I want to get done, but maybe I can't get them done at a different time, or maybe I know I can't bill for them, or that I don't know, for various reasons I just want to take advantage of that time. I started calling that commute calls, and it's just my new thing.
No, and it is. And one of the things which I love working with Michelle with is a lot of my clients are willing and want to hire attorneys. But when they look at our per hour rate, they go, I don't know if I can afford that. And because the concept of trying to, so a lot of what we try to do is try to make sure we come up with the best pricing and what we can offer while at the same time respecting our time.
Right.
And so,
and it's always, I think every attorney has that as a balance. So you're talking about scheduling when you're out of town, which is something that I also do. I worry about, and I always feel like, I'm out of town, and I was out of town the other day, and my daughter is sending me an Instagram message telling me she's hungry and she wants to have French toast at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm in Florida.
It's
my husband's downstairs, right?
And
it's not my husband's fault. And it's just I don't know, it's that mom thing. And so I text my husband. I was like, I don't know why she's messaging me that she wants French toast. But so I don't know, what do you have a tip or is there any strategy that you've used that's worked really well for helping you to get your kids and or spouse to be more organized when you go out of town, or having them to take on more responsibility so that it's not on you? Do you have one? Not to put you on the spot, but
I was going to say, I try a lot about, especially with kids, right? As they grow up, you're responsible. This is what you have to do. And from the fact of saying, okay, every backpack, and I know this sounds really anal, but at night, every backpack needs to be in the place it needs to be. You need to know your own schedule. And yes, I do get texts saying, Mom, and I was telling, I was going to tell Michelle this funny story, but I'll tell it right now. So my son wants to get out of doing something. So he knows that the only thing he needs to do is tell his grandparents. And my parents, I'm very lucky, are there, and they're doing. So he texts me and says, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, no. If we schedule tutoring, which is like $100 an hour, that's her time and we're going to lose the money. You need to go. So he tells my dad, well, Mom says I've talked to her, but he leaves out she says I have to go. So I'm in the middle of the meeting. I'm getting these texts. So I finally kind of said, okay, you know what? I excuse myself, said, I have a minor emergency. And he was like, and I go out and I call him and I say, would you do it if I was at home? He's like, no. Then you cannot do it, but I'm away. Mm-hmm. And otherwise, your dad is there. Call him.
Yeah.
You're not respecting my time. So we talked this morning and he's like, why were you mad at me? I'm like, because I was in the middle of an important meeting, right? And you kept FaceTiming me.
Yeah.
And that is, so I think we'll have to have a little family meeting and saying, okay, when Mom is away, the same thing, you can't interrupt adults. Are you on fire and are you dying? And if you are on fire and dying, yes, you can call me. But otherwise, no. You have to wait. And I think that that's a balance that all of us have to do. And, and part of it is, I think I facilitate it because when I'm in home, it's just kind of, when he started high school, my oldest one, he was very used to that if he forgot something, he would text and say, Mom, can you bring it? Right. And you're like, we're not typical. We live 5 minutes away. So it's like, okay, it doesn't cost me. It's on my way to the office.
Right.
Until when he got to high school, I said, okay, we have this new rule for every year. So you have 3 times I will bring something when you're a freshman, 2 times when you're a sophomore.
Oh, that's a good tip.
One time when you're a junior and 0 when you're a senior.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be around when you're in college. So if you forgot your lunch money, if you forgot your trombone, if you forgot your, football pads, not my problem.
Yeah.
And it's actually worked really great.
Oh,
so
that's a good tip. I like that tip. Yeah.
So it's like you're responsible. And I think that now the funny part is, not to be tender, my daughter never has any issues. She's in charge of herself in a way, but she will want permission to do stuff. And she's very used to going through me.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm going to, go on my bike to do this. Mom, I'm going to do on my bike. So what I've kind of tried to say to her is, if there's an adult in the house that is not me, you can ask them.
Yeah.
So.
And I only have girls, so I don't have really any comparison to see if there's a difference or not. Your tip about are you on fire? Is anybody bleeding? I have another mom friend who's in this group, so if she's watching this, she'll relate to that because that's what her rule was for when she was on a conference call for work. She's like, don't interrupt me on this conference call unless you're on fire or you're bleeding. So I think that's always a good rule. But okay, well, I like that tip on that. So, well, I think we're almost to our location for dinner. Any other final tips, or what is there anything that's been your anything about Mothers Esquire that has been a helpful thing to you, or have you gotten any referrals or anything final about Mothers Esquire?
I love Mothers Esquire, and I like the idea that we provide a network for each other. And I think the best advice that I've gotten, and I think we need to put to each other, is my husband used to tell me when I was going to go out of the office, I would give these big explanations of why I was going to be gone. And he was like, it's nobody's business. You have to do what you have to do, and as long as you're doing your work and you're creating, value to the place, forget about giving excuses. Because I have to do this. So I think a lot of the things that I love about Moms Esquire is that we're providing that network for each other. And I've got it, I had a client that I had an emergency and I posted in Mothers Esquire and I got PMs and I was able to hire local counsel within 24 hours.
That is an awesome story. Oh, yes. I love that. That makes me so happy. That was one of the things that I definitely wanted to see happen, was to create a network where we could refer to each other and help each other, because there are built-in networks already for a lot of our male colleagues, and I wanted to create that for us. So awesome, Margarita. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Thanks for being in a minivan moment.
Yes.
Okay, bye.